All right, what is going on, everyone? And welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast. We are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X for post-game coverage of the Mets versus Phillies Game 4 of the National League Division Series. We've got something to celebrate, and it got celebrated on Queens soil for the first time in history of Citi Field's existence. But before we talk about all of that, I must do diligence, of course. I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for live recordings of the Mets Weekly Podcast after every single Mets postseason game. For those of you watching live or on playback, you'll want to join the conversation in the future. Make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you in the live chat right now, want to let you know we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all of that great stuff. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored. You're just being starred throughout the show. So we'll try to pull up as many comments as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Also, make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for future content over there in the off season. As we just wrapped up Frank's post-game thoughts after every Mets regular season game, titled The Mets Frankly Postgame. For those on audio, make sure to follow us on your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version that goes up at 9 a.m. the following day of recording. For those of you tuning in on audio right now, in the future, make sure to tune into our pre-game shows, which will be continuing as we go to California. We don't know which team yet. For our pregame shows around 90 minutes before each playoff game. That will be going all Mets postseason long, but only on our YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get into this post-game show. And the Mets, they did it again. The magic continues, moving on to the National League Championship Series, winning it in 4 against a Philadelphia Phillies team that pretty much got into enemy territory and pretty much could not do anything whatsoever for these two games. The Mets took care of business at home, like I said, for the first time in Citi Field's existence, for the first time since 2006. The Mets have celebrated on their soil, their home field, and they closed out the series 3-1. And they're going on to face either the Dodgers or the Padres in the National League Championship Series. Frank, I will go to you. I mean, what else hasn't been said at this point? I mean, they are just remarkable.
Yeah, they just keep on going, and they've made a really good point in the broadcast. But the level of competition, especially from the pitching standpoint, the relievers, you started off going all the way back to Atlanta. They get the big inning off of Raisel Iglesias, who by all accounts was on a roll in the second half season, one of the best relievers in all of baseball. Then you go to the Brewers series. Devin Williams, one of the best relievers in all of baseball. Get the home run off of him. Now you're facing Estevez, who's been phenomenal this year. He was the Angels closer, got traded to Phillies. But the Phillies, they go to him in the 6th inning because they're like, we need this out now. We're going to him in the 6th inning. And Lindor says, okay, got him too. So it's like, it just feels like no matter who they throw out against this team, the better the pitching, they still come through. So I feel like that's the other thing that's just so impressive to me is like the level of competition that they've done it against. And you throw out your Zach Wheeler, your Aaron Nola, your Sanchez, your playoff ranger that the broadcast's talking about. You can throw out all these different pitchers that they're facing, and they're beating them all. So, I mean, you have to feel honestly really good. I mean, they've gone this far, and they just keep rolling, and they're celebrating like crazy, but it doesn't matter because this is just how they've been all year. Like, they've been emotional. Every time they make it to the next round, everybody's crying. Like, it's just a very emotional ride that these guys are just all thrilled to be on. And I love it. You know, just keep on rolling.
Hey, Andrew, I know you're the big partier out of the three of us. I mean, what an atmosphere. What else can you say at this point? The run continues now into Southern California. Guaranteed. We don't know which team it's going to be, but
does it matter?
I mean, now they stand here. What is it? 8 wins away from the hardware.
Mm-hmm. And again, I guess we don't know when we're going to take back. Obviously, we'll wait to that last game to take a grand experience. But I keep thinking about this. Every day they keep pulling this bullshit off. This was a retooling year in a David Stearns regime. This is with him taking a few nickels and dimes that he found in Cohen's couch cushion this offseason and spent. This is level 1. What the hell does the grand master plan look like? Are we becoming a dynasty? Who knows? But let's get partying, because tonight we're not going to be negative. There are some things we can get real negative about, but we'll spare those throughout the stream. But again, the magic, this DVD, this is not a DVD anymore. This is a full box set. We got the 5th edition of an 8-piece box set DVD. This video stack's about to be this big because this is what this team has done. Think again, like Frank has said, knocking out all-star reliever, all-star reliever, all-star reliever. Not doing much against the starters. You know, Zach Wheeler, thank God. Again, that was Mike Scott 2.0. We were sitting if we didn't get that win tonight, but we don't got to worry about that guy ever again until next year when the games mean nothing. But again, your MVP, the guy who I said before, talking at work, friends at work being like, oh, how you feel? I'm like, vibes are good. You'll see what happens. But I said, Alonso's had his game in the series. Nemo's had his game. Vientos has had his game. This needs to be the Francisco Lindor game. And there you go. And third time's a charm. We'll get to the ineptitude of bases loaded opportunities. Strike out once? That's shame on me. Stranded twice? Okay, you're pissing me off. You didn't do it the third time, and that mattered. And then the 9th inning, well, they got the 3 outs. We're just going to say move on and not want to be concerned at all. So, because we're popping bottles. But Jesus Christ, did we have to have Kyle Schwarber? No, because, of course, Diaz has got to make us sweat our tits off. But guess what? We get out of it. Pete Alonso's on a table double fisting for some reason. And, again, we can take a few days off, get some rest, and Kodai Senga starting game 1. Also, David Peterson is better than Tyler McGill.
McGill pitched once in this series.
And he
what
sucked.
does he have to do with this?
And he sucked.
What the
David
hell does he have to
Peterson,
do with
big 2 innings.
Anyways,
big
you
2
guys were
innings
nervous in that 9th inning?
No.
Anyways,
I felt better when I saw Stanek getting warmed up.
Exactly. I was like, get him the hell out of this game.
Yeah, right. Okay. Anyways, when it comes to this full series, let me just say, the continuation of the story in this series of all 4 games, it has been from both sides, whether it's negative or positive, it has been the bullpen. The Mets bullpen has definitely been shaky in this series, and we did not know how we were going to be piecing these things together. Then you go to the other side, which is the Phillies bullpen, which the Mets in 4 straight games have absolutely destroyed. Keep in mind, this is the same Phillies bullpen that was pretty much top 5 in every single category this season. But apparently, when it came to the big dance, they just came up small. And the Mets just continued to bully them. Frank, you want to add?
Yeah, their middle relief / setup men made all-star games, which doesn't happen. Normally it's closers that make all-star games, but Hoffman and Schramm both made the all-star team as middle relief setup guys. Like, that's how dominant these guys were.
And their whole rotation, too. Again, what's it called? God, what the hell is
Almost
this? Thompson's like bringing all his guys
got
with
in.
him.
Yeah.
Could that mean that all-star selections don't mean shit?
And
that
isn't
mean
that?
that?
And Estevez was all-star last year.
Exactly. And isn't the guy that didn't make the all-star team hit the guy that deserved it hit the game-winning home?
Oh, how about that?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Listen, it's LA,
Wow.
LA all the time. Come on now. You can't look at New York anymore. Those are a bunch of peasants these days.
How's Shohei Ohtani done in the? Oh wait, he's just like Mookie.
All right, don't
into
wake
a ghost.
him up. Don't wake up the Giant.
I'm
Don't
sorry.
Wake him
the
up.
Giant.
Wake him up. I don't want
5.
San Diego.
Yeah, let
us
him
go
go
5.
Don't
Wake up.
don't wake up the Giants here. All right. You
Don't
might
wake up
be facing
Godzilla.
them, all right?
Yeah.
Relax.
Listen, you want to talk about
Anyways.
pitching? They have Ryan Brazier starting tonight
Starting a game.
in an elimination game. Like,
They're going home. Yeah, they're going home.
When it comes to the Mets pitching, they have thrown, let's see, they've played 7 games.
Mhm.
The Mets starting pitching, excellent. pretty much excellent throughout the entire postseason run so far. And this is a rotation that, Andrew was ready to throw out the door, called them all mediocre. Basically said every single one of them was mid. They were dumpster diving from David Stearns, and they made him look like a fucking idiot, And at the end of the day, when we talk about it from Severino to Minaya had a great performance yesterday. And then there's Jose Quintana, who continues to be spotless ever since I saw him pitch against Oakland. Which, I guess that was what woke him up. He got beat up by Oakland, and ever since, he's been completely spotless. And I mean absolutely spotless. I'm pretty sure he has he's allowed one earned run ever since then. He's been incredible. I don't know. He actually has been untouchable. Not dominant, because he's, still very boring to look at. But when he makes quick work of batters, it's a little bit more watchable, let's just say. And like I said in the pregame before, they still had to fight for it. I said if he goes 6 innings, they were going to win this game, right? He doesn't go 6 innings. They still had to fight for it. But again, like I said, him going through those 5 innings, he pitched into the 6th. I'm pretty sure he faced one batter. He still put us in this position to win this game, because the Mets offense, let's just say one thing. The Mets offense, for a majority of this game, was probably the most inept I have seen them in a while. And I think we will eventually get into that after we summarize this entire game. But I really, for a fact, I was like, okay, this is heading to Philadelphia if they don't wake the fuck up. But of course, it had to take the leader to get the big hit. Of course, the end of the day, it's a win. It's a huge win. They move on to the National League Championship Series. They get 2 days off now. Probably one of those days they'll be traveling to California. They don't know which one of those that will be. But we'll see what happens, of course. Do they have an off day between Game 4 and Game 5, the Dodgers?
Yeah, because they have
they got to travel.
So
we
have
gotta
3
go back
days
to
off. It's 3 days off.
Sunday. Yeah,
correct?
Sunday's the first game. Sunday's Game 1.
Okay, so we have 3 days off. Okay.
And
So-
Mookie 1-0 Dodgers.
Oh,
Wow, Mookie
Nice,
actually
there we
did
go.
something.
Again.
Wow, it's amazing.
And he hit the center field. Didn't go to profile.
and Otani grounded out.
Oh, fraud.
Yeah.
Godzilla
Yeah.
fraud. Come on.
Anyways, the Mets are just absolutely on cloud 9 right now. That's all I can really say. They have absolutely just destroyed everything in their path. We don't know how, but we're all here for the ride. Let's just say that. This has been just a fighting team to the very end. We saw them do it in Game 3 against Milwaukee. We saw them do it in Game 1. We saw them even fight to the end in Game 2. They possibly could have swept this thing if the
it wasn't
bullpen
for-
did not
yeah.
collapse the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
If they actually finished things off, such as maybe, I don't know, Jose Budo not walking the 9-hole hitter, you dickhead. Anyways,
Or throw a
yeah, everyone's at fault here, all right? Butt dog. Anyways, yeah, I could go for you. Listen, I will lose my voice going after you, all right? Anyways, Edwin Diaz gets his first postseason save, as Daniel Capps says it, which, that's good to see, again. But we'll get into the full-on recap, of course. We have some other news that I can sprinkle in. Jeff McNeil might be returning for the NLCS to basically curse us and take us out of the playoffs. But other than that, all jokes aside, great effort again all around. The Mets worked counts against Suarez, like we said in the key. They couldn't get the big hit when he was on the mound because they just kept on chasing. It was not a pretty game by any means. But when is it ever pretty when it comes to the New York Mets? But at the end of the day, we had our big guy, our $341 million shortstop, who's not worth the contract and bats .220, come through when it matters. and he prevented this thing to going to Philadelphia, preventing us from possibly seeing Zach Wheeler again. So let's just say that they had to treat this
I
like
guess
an
the emergency
elimination
never
game.
happened. They were saving him
Yeah,
for.
it was like not like your
I don't know.
starter was walking everybody in the first inning, in the second inning, but no.
Yeah. I don't know.
Season on the line, bud.
But,
hey,
Well, he's ready for game 5.
Who knows what
so.
happens?
he's ready for
At the
game
end
5.
of the day, who knows? Maybe it's possible that they just couldn't find a spot for Zach Wheeler. Let's just say that. Like Christopher saying, bases loaded, bases loaded, bases loaded. Absolutely. I 100% agree. And even though that's not even like a complete sentence, every Mets fan knows what you're talking about, Christopher.
Yeah.
Daniel saying Lindor overrated. Absolutely. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, listen, I only listen to WFAN for my sports information.
Oh, of course.
I
it's
only
great.
listen to Twitter. I only listen to the regular season analysis in April when he struggles. I mean, you got to take that stuff to your grave. You can't just bounce around. You can't have the mixed emotions. It
change your
takes
opinion.
time. He definitely gave us a wound. He gave us a wound at the beginning, and I still have not forgiven him for that. I'm telling you. Batting 220, what was it, in his first year here? I don't forgive him. I mean, he really screwed us, Anyways,
Yeah. Can I
back to the all seriousness, let's just say. Any other
Yeah.
comments before we summarize this thing?
Because you brought up McNeil, and I don't know if I think it's the Tigers series. The Tigers are one of it's Cleveland or Detroit is carrying 16 position players, only 14 pitchers. Because that's again, I saw it was in one of this. I don't know. It might have been. It's either one of the American leagues. One of the teams got 16 position players, 14 pitchers. With the ineptitude of this Met bullpen, and if the gerbil's coming, is that because and let's do we want to get negative first because Winker and
How about we save that to the
Yes,
end? How about
okay.
we save that to
Okay.
the end? Let's get
So,
into this
yeah,
game.
bottle
Of
it up,
course,
yeah.
I don't want to look into the future
well, no,
at
it's
all because
it's yeah.
I already know what's going to happen in this game if McNeil comes back. I already know. I mean, I think everything's just going to be ruined. But
Exactly.
when it comes to this actual game, I want to summarize this one. Let's relive the moment of Game 4. Now, in the fourth, we can jump all the way to there after the Mets stranded the bases loaded in back-to-back innings with nobody out. The Phillies would threaten in the fourth. A one-out walk to Harper. Castellanos would double off the wall, and Alec Boehm would hit a ground ball with the Phillies running on contact. Mark Vientos would bobble it on the transfer, and the Phillies would take a 1-0 lead. Jose Quintana would pitch into the sixth, but give up a leadoff double to Bryce Harper, which would end his day. 5+ innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 unearned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts on 90 pitches. Reed Garrett would come on and get 2 outs, striking out Castellanos, walking Boehm, and striking out Real Muto. David Peterson would enter for Garrett to get Stott to ground out and strand the runners. Jeff Hoffman would come back out to the mound in the bottom of the inning for the Phillies and load the bases. Leadoff single for JDM. Marte would get hit by the pitch. Tyrone Taylor would walk with no one out. Francisco Alvarez would ground into a force out. You think that it's going to happen once again, that the Mets would strand the bases loaded, but no, that did not happen. Francisco Lindor would save the day, crushing a monstrous grand slam to right center to give the Mets a 4-1 lead. In the seventh, David Peterson would come back out, toss a scoreless inning, ending with a double play. Peterson would also come in for the eighth and work around a 2-out single to finish that inning. In the ninth, Edwin Diaz would come on for the save, and even though he cannot beat a closer and all he does is choke, and he's one of the worst relief pitches we've ever seen, he's worked in Jerry's Familia and Armando Benitez, and he's the next coming of Aaron Heilman, he would work around back-to-back walks and get 3 straight outs on 2 strikeouts to finish the series. Despite the Mets going 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position, the Mets would take Game 4 to advance to the National League Championship Series and clinch the first ever clinching feat at Citi Field. The first ever champagne shower, the first ever champagne celebration in the Citi Field home clubhouse, because we've seen other teams celebrate on our field many, many times. But other than that, the main takeaways from this game: the offense, very stressful. Let's just say that. We had the big bang, of course, from Francisco Lindor at the end there. But boy, was it a journey for those runs to cross the plate throughout the entire game. Andrew, I'll start with you regarding this offense, regarding how they played together as a team. Lots of frustration. Let's just say that. But again, they did get the job done.
Yeah, especially how this game started. The Phillies were handing you to put the bullet in their head. Suarez can't throw a damn strike. He keeps throwing these damn curveballs in dirt, but yet they keep chasing it. They're literally handing you the shotgun. Old Yeller us, please. And you can relax for 2 straight innings, and you let them off the hook, and then they get that, the Phillies actually manufacturing a run in 2024. Never thought I would see the day they do that. But it was to the point of, you had them. And I had that worst fear that you had 2, not just one. Once, okay. That happens. The fact that they gave you 2 opportunities to put them away and put the hammer down early, and you let them get off the hook, there was some, oh shit, like that is, yeah. Then even like I was listening to Howie, because I was working the first couple innings, so I couldn't watch the game. I was listening to Howie, and his part, I forgot the dude's name, but he even said, bookmark this if they don't come back and win this game. First, and having the bases on.
He's also a Keith. I know that.
Keith. Yeah,
this Keith Rad.
Keith Rad, yeah. Yeah. So besides the point, he was like, bookmark that if this, ends up biting them in the ass. And of course, like I said, the Phillies manufacture a run, and you're like, oh shit. And then Harper hits the double with the top half of that inning. You're like, oh shit, there's a tack on. Especially with Reed Garrett coming in. You're like, oh Jesus. Here you go, and Reed gets out of it. But overall from the offense, again, you had Suarez was literally gifting you opportunity, and they kept swinging that damn shit-ass curveball. It wasn't like, okay, like I can understand if it's like a guy like Zach Wheeler or a guy who actually has talent, arm talent, I can understand. This is Ranger Suarez, and this is second half Ranger Suarez. This dude has been ass all year, the second half, at least the second half. He's good in the regular first half. Since the All-Star break, he has been pastrami, cooked, baked potato, cook his ass. And the fact that you had 2 opportunities.
There's always the food references.
There's always the food references. We got to bring them up. But again, you had the opportunity to put them away, and you let them off the hook. And those are momentum swings. Those are massive momentum swings. Yes, the Phillies didn't take advantage of it, thankfully. And again, 3rd time's the charm. You have your MVPs finally show up. But again, and this is the problem we've had with this Mets offense, is, there's 8 innings of ineffectiveness, and then there's that one big bang inning, and you're like, all right, and that's hoping on this offense. Even in this game, there was opportunities late to tack on. Why is JD Martinez? Why is Tyrone Taylor still hitting? Oh, wait, we can't, God forbid, Jesse Winker's on this roster for some fucking reason. It's not like he hit a 500-foot dick shot yesterday. Oh, his bat's back. His back is okay. The bat's still flying. But again, you beat the Phillies. I don't think if there's whoever you face next round, this ineptitude of waiting to just rush a team in an inning, that needs to stop. Especially, it's not even like they're not getting on. Like in the Brewers series, one of those games, they weren't getting on, and it's like, okay, there's plenty of traffic, and the runner in score position issue has flared up a lot in this series. Yes, you got away with it because you won the series, and obviously you've had the big hits, but these games shouldn't have been close because you had plenty of opportunities. And again, when you're facing a better Padres team, if it is San Diego, you're going to need to, when you get those opportunities, you cannot let that happen against a better team like San Diego.
Yeah, well, Easy thinks you're being a little too hard on them, saying listening to this guy, you think the Mets got swept. I mean, you can't tell me that game was played with fluidity from the Mets. Let's just say that.
Exactly.
That was a
Like
very,
you're sitting here with it was a great game.
that was a very
Gotta
spotty
love it.
one. Let's just say we had quite a high,
Yeah.
of course, the Lindor Grand Slam, but we had a lot of lows. Let's just say
A
that.
lot of lows.
It wasn't amazing. And if you check the title of this podcast, it does say post-game analysis. So we're going to break things down in this game. We also have reactions, so maybe we'll be reactionary a little bit as well. I'm just letting you know. All right. I'm just saying, there were things in this game that weren't great.
We're not good.
And
No.
but
They won.
we
That's what
finally
matters.
came through. We had Francisco Lindor get the big moment. Of course, he finally got his moment. We know that Vientos had his big game in game 2 that was wasted away by the bullpen. We had Alonso have his big moment. We had, who else had their big moment? Did
Alonso
Nimmo have his moment?
Nimmo, the
Alonso,
game-winning hit.
Nimmo had his
Alonso's
moment as well.
Winker, like they've all
Alonso had his moment. Yeah, keep talking over me. That's just so productive. Anyways, but at the end of the day, Marte had his moment too. We were waiting for Lindor to do it. Lindor has been productive. He's been getting on base this entire time in the postseason, but we have not been getting that much of a productive MVP caliber type of appearance from Lindor so far in the postseason. And that was the performance that we needed. He also led off an inning with the Mets not scoring at all with a double. He had a few ugly ABs against Ranger Suarez, who he actually does have a really good career against. But when it comes to, just being in that moment, that is a $341 million swing that he just put on the ball tonight. And he just lifted the Mets single-handedly because it seemed like nobody else was coming through with the bases loaded tonight. He single-handedly lifted this team to the National League Championship Series, something he's done all year. He has come through so many times, and, that is our MVP right there, okay? That's our MVP. Ohtani can have it in the regular season, but real MVPs, in my opinion, come through when it matters, and that's what he did. Everybody was absolutely, silent with the bases loaded. They just stalled completely. Offense was just nowhere to be found once they, loaded the bases. They were getting a rally going. They looked like the Raiders offense, great between the 20s, stalling in the red zone. But when it comes to Francisco Lindor coming through when it matters, and he did it. And again, once again, the Mets doing this against some of the best relievers in all of baseball. Devin Williams, Pete Alonso, Raciel Iglesias, Francisco Lindor. They have tons of great relievers in this Phillies pen. And not only did Lindor come up big against him, but also the Mets have come up big, huge against this Phillies bullpen this entire series. And that I personally think was what pushed them over the edge. Basically destroying a high leverage machine throughout the entire season known as the Phillies bullpen. Any other comments you guys want to add? Frank, Andrew, anybody?
Yeah, I think overall, when you look at the box score itself, the actual numbers, leaving 10 men on base, going 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position. And even on the Phillies side, they left 9 on base and went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. So both teams had their opportunities and definitely squandered them. But I just think, just to kind of add on about what frustrated me about the Mets leaving the runners on, is that the way you got into these situations of like bases loaded and multiple men on were the walks that were happening in front of you. So you already see that, okay, the pitcher is having some control issues. And that is why I'm in a golden opportunity right now. And then he's throwing those curveballs in the dirt and you're just bailing him out by constantly swinging. And what surprised me too was the veterans that were doing it. Like if Alvarez did it, Vientos did it, I'd be like, all right, they're young, aggressive players. But I was very surprised that Iglesias Martinez, I unfortunately was not surprised, but I do expect more of him as like a veteran who knows pitching and all this hitting savant and all this other stuff. So that definitely is frustrating when you see the veteran players making those kind of mistakes. And Marte too. I mean, he was just kind of all over the place, swinging at everything as well. And Taylor, as we know, is also just an ultra aggressive player. So I didn't surprise me either see him fishing so much. But I think that was the frustrating part too, is that like you had Suarez put himself into these jams with his lack of control, and then you're bailing him out. Like he really could have just dug his own grave with the way he was going. And I was just very surprised that they, especially with the curveball, that they just kept going after it over and over and over again. And his curveball is not a valuable pitch for him. I mean, that's a blue circle on the Baseball Savant page. Off speed value is blue. So I definitely was surprised that was the pitch that was giving him such great
I hate
success.
to show you up here. I hate to show you up here. A curveball is a breaking ball. It's not an off-speed pitch.
Okay.
But that curveball has gotten him out of a lot of situations. But overall, graded, it's like pretty average. So yeah, you're right. In regards to that. But I mean, you sound like you're just talking about my keys to the game, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I said. I mean, that overall, the way that he's able to expand the zone, that's the way he gets bailed out. And you have to let him drive up his pitch count by himself. You don't even need to foul that many off to drive up his pitch count to make him work, because he's really struggled to find the strike zone. And also he needs to get that pinpoint location in order to, get those results. And the Mets were bailing him out the entire time. They needed to create traffic to get to him. Come on. Can I not lose my voice for this stream? Jesus.
Fraud.
But they needed to they needed to get to him, and they drove his pitch count out, and that was how they got him out of the game early. I mean, those are the keys to the game, and what can I say? I'm a genius. Andrew, I'll let you take over as I try to gain my voice back. Go ahead if there's anything you want to add regarding against Suarez.
Yeah, again, like you guys were saying, like the walks are great, but again, it's that damn curveball. It just could not stop this. Stanton, of course, gave the Yankees the lead. They just kept fishing. It's not even like, okay, he was freezing him. I can understand it's a get me over, a certain pitcher that's in the booth today. I could understand that. But the fact that it's every single one in the dirt, in, out, it didn't matter. But yet they were still fishing at it. And again, like we said, it's not the kids. It's the guys who are been in the league longer than Mets fans been alive, and the vets who know better than that and should know the scouting report better than the kids then. But yet, again, it is leaving those guys on base. And again, like, Suarez is not good. And he proved that he's not good. He got bailed by the offensive ineptitude, because any other, let's say, average offense, he's knocked out of the first inning, and he's hitting the showers by the second. But yet, he finds a way to get out. Respect. Good job. You Houdini'd your way out of 2 situations. Couldn't get out of the 4th. And guess what? It doesn't matter, because you're going to Hong Kong. It's all good.
To what?
I don't know.
What? To what?
I said, it's Hong Kong, whatever. I don't know what the fuck's saying.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm saying. 3-0. Oh god. Oh, okay, good. Dodgers are winning. Good.
All right. Well, in regards to all the things on the offense, I see Frank going in defense of his child, Francisco Alvarez, in the chat right now. Ricardo saying, I keep telling everyone that Alvarez has some similarities to Gary Sanchez. I mean, I wouldn't go there yet. I'm letting the guy,
I mean, did he not almost put a hole in the wall yesterday off Nola hitting it 108 off the wall? I mean, like, the power is
Jesus
still
Christ.
there.
The man just can't. The man can't help himself. Can he? He just can't help himself.
God.
He just can't. He can't help himself. I mean, we got the win, and we're arguing about Francisco Alvarez's batting
and
average
Jeff
right
McNeil.
now. I mean, this is unbelievable. Yeah, Andrew, I bet you we could win the World Series, and Frank will be complaining about Harrison Bader's contract.
Oh, 100%. He's gonna catch the last out, and he's gonna be like, he caught it one hand.
If Teoscar knocks us out, it won't be a pretty sight. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, Dodgers have actual expectations. We're just here just for fun.
We're just vibing,
with the
bro.
power of friendship.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't have gotten the power of friendship if Bader wasn't signed to be friends with Alonso from college. So
And
again,
we know what happened with the last Florida mate that stuck around too long.
anyways, but at the end of the day, I think that when it comes to the Mets offense, the Mets pitching, which has been a unsung hero, the starting pitching specifically has been an unsung hero in this series, shutting down a Phillies lineup that we know one swing they can change the trajectory of the game, and they've continued to do that throughout the entire series, especially in these hostile Philly environments. They were able to match up with Zach Wheeler for like 7 innings, and then all of a sudden explode on their bullpen. But I think that the Mets have come through so many times in this series so big. And, we'll see what happens, going into the National League Championship Series. Let's see if they can continue. But, I think that another thing regarding, I guess you can put him in the starting pitching category. Peterson has had some really good outings as well in this series. He's looked really good. Those 3 scoreless innings in game 1. Game 4 today, he got, 2 and a third scoreless.
And he got the save in the elimination game against the Brewers.
And you get
and the great start against the Brewers on the Sunday before the regular season ended.
Yeah.
Will you let me do my job?
Don't let these guys the ace.
My job?
I'm a PR person for these guys. Like, it's my job to defend them.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't put them over good enough. We put them over.
All right. Anyways, speaking of full-on performances, isolate them individually. Let's get to everybody's favorite segment, that being studs and duds. One player in this game who absolutely set the world on fire, and then one that we don't like, and we really just want to put in the corner. We want to give him a timeout. Andrew, I'll start with you on your stud of this game.
Again, I don't want to be obvious, so I'll give it to the guy who's unsung stud of the game. It's Jose Quintana. Again, in a situation against a lineup that they're on the, backs against the wall, a really good Phillies lineup, one bullshit scratched around rung over 5 innings. You take that every day, again, continuing the trend of elite starting pitching, and especially with the Mets offense not showing up, keeping it 1-0. Yes, and then you obviously you hand it off to the bullpen, which was good, which was shaky, but good enough. Jose Quintana keeping that trend. I think the SNY put out rotation ERA, which all we care about is good ERA, 2.25 for the whole series. So Jose Quintana keeping that trend, and what?
You make that joke. That you make that joke, but the only thing that matters in the postseason
is
right?
ERA. He's good ERA.
No, results. That's result based. What can I say? That's useful. They've gotten the job done. You're making the joke, but it's not a joke anymore. Sorry.
Hey, Patrick.
Anyways, continue.
But it just, especially with the bats early on being inept, to have the starter keep us in the game and keep that again. He gave up the one bullshit run, sure, to keep it at 1, to keep you in the game, and to give the opportunity to that offense later in the game to hit the big bang. Jose Quintana, yes, everyone's going to give it to the MVP. Let's show the guy that we wanted to kick in a can for a $12 Dominican at the trade deadline. Let's give him a little bit of love.
Okay. Frank, you going with your fellow countryman?
I have to. That was such a big swing. It's one of those ones that, listen, I said, in fact, it's with the Brave swing as well, but it's regardless of how this thing ends, where the Mets finish up, we're going to see that home run for the rest of our lives. That was another one of those home runs that is one of the biggest in New York Mets history. So he's having multiple of those moments, and it's just so exciting. And again, a couple years from now, when it's an annoying rain delay against the Marlins and that Mets yearbook 2024 comes on, we're going to be seeing that Lindor home run. So
shit's going to be 90 minutes.
Exactly.
It's going to be 90 minutes.
It's going to be a long yearbook. So it's great. You know what I mean? Especially like we said, all the controversy that first year of, did the Mets lose this trade? Should they have actually given him the extension before he actually played the regular season? And now it's this guy is worth the money. And listen, Trey Turner went 0-for-4 with a couple strikeouts. He's a shortstop making over $300 million. It just, Lindor's looking, the Mets are looking smart with that move. Smart with the contract, and he's just doing awesome. And like we say, he does so many different things. And what really bothers me is there was a mound visit late. And of course, with the the broadcast, the national broadcast, Lindor was starting to say something to Diaz. And then they have the camera just cut to the crowd being in panic mode. I'm like, I wanted to see Lindor be the coach that he is, but they're showing me the crowd instead. Again, it's like that stuff like that where like I saw Hefner talking a little bit.
Well, let's not forget 2 batters away, Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like I saw Alvarez talking a little bit, but then I saw at the end, I saw Lindor be like, wait a minute. And he like kind of pulled Diaz aside. And I don't know what he was saying because they cut it. But it's just like the little stuff like that I feel that he does well. And even the one play where like with Peterson, the ball's up the middle, Lindor just kind of like teleports to second base to catch it and step on the bag. Like this man, he just does everything. He's everywhere. And he's been our MVP, like we've said. I mean, it feels like when the moment is the most difficult as well is when he comes through in the biggest spot. Like when you're facing Raisel Iglesias after an awful outing from Diaz, he comes through. You're starting off with toughing against Devin Williams. He gets on base with a really tough at-bat. Now you're facing Estevez. It just feels like when the situation's at its toughest, that's when he's at his best, which is what you want from your big money players. It's like big money players come up in big time spots, and that's what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen tons of Mets contracts go south very quickly. And to see, Francisco Lindor come up the way that he has, getting the biggest contract in Mets history, obviously, in terms of total value, and come up the way that you expect him to come up where, it all just seems to like fall into place. When we talk about Francisco Lindor coming into the New York Mets, we always talked about that grand slam he hit against Chad Green in the playoffs as a member of Cleveland. I think it's time to replace the one tonight with that one. For Mets fans, I think that's the time where you put that one in because he came up so big, and I'm pretty sure that got them within 1 run. That
it made it 8-7
home
against
run.
the Yankees.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we all remember it because we all know it in our heads. I mean, that's what's like glued to our memory. I think it's time to switch out that moment with this one. I think it's time. Regarding Pete Alonso, when Red Horse Adventure saying Alonso will be back with the Mets. Again, we still don't know what's going to happen, but regarding that situation, 24 minutes ago, the SNY Mets account just showed a video of David Stearns and Pete Alonso embracing multiple times and dabbing each other up. So you never know. Yeah, again, if he continues this great postseason run, I mean, he hasn't had his, career game, but he had his defining moment. If he continues this, maybe he can redeem himself from, what we saw this season, and maybe he does end up having a long-term future here. We'll see. Again, that's a different conversation for the offseason. Who knows? But as for my stud, I mean, let's see. I can give it to Reed Garrett for that big king size out that he got in the 6th. I could give it to David Peterson, who continues to prove me wrong. But I think that I'm going to give this one to Mark Vientos. And the main reason why I'm going to say that is because he just keeps being in the middle of pretty much everything. And keeps continuing to redeem himself for his awful defense at third base.
And he actually made a nice play later on with the backhand.
Yeah,
he threw it to Alonso with the scoop.
Again,
that was actually a nice play.
Yeah. He keeps redeeming himself, continues to have these competitive ABs. He seemed like he was the only guy not chasing that curveball from Suarez.
The guy with the least amount of major league games in the lineup looks the one who's the most disciplined. That's just not the way it's supposed to be. I've said that all year, that like with these guys who are chasing the sliders with the right-handers, Vientos was the guy who made the adjustments. And it's so interesting to me that, like, again, he plays like a guy who's much older. And that's probably my favorite thing about him is just like not giving in to like what the guys around you are doing and having those same flaws.
Comes up here, young, plays like a veteran. He looks like a young Michael Conforto, Anyways, as for the duds, there are some individual performances.
We've had the mention of, hold on a second. We've had Aaron Heilman, Adam Wainwright, and now Michael Conforto. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
who we need to bring up?
It's a champagne episode. It's a champagne episode. I mean, come on. We got to bring back all the scars. We got to bring back all the wounds. We got to bring up all the good times. I mean, What can you say? But
Where's
we don't
Adrian
know what his
Hauser?
future is going to be at third base. We'll see. I don't know. But at the end of the day, let's just say Mark Vientos just continuing possibly to be like the best postseason hitter like in the entire league this year. Like, is he? He probably is, right? He has the most hits, right? He has the most runs batted in.
Him or Mookie?
Right?
I guess, yeah, Mookie's.
Yeah, no,
been
he has
going
more.
on.
He has
Him
more
or
than
Mookie.
Tatis. He has the most right now.
Or Fernando. Yeah.
Wow.
Fernando.
Nice. Again, when you see a 24-year-old kid who was, by the way, can I add, was in AAA this season to start off the year. And he just, he ran away with it. Yeah, for Brett Beatty. He thought Brett Beatty was good. Anyway, speaking of Brett Beatty, terrible, let's get into the duds. Andrew, I'll go right back to you.
Speaking of guys who were in AAA to start the year, and a guy that needs to get out of that damn 5-hole, Jose Iglesias. Yes, I get it. He has a good batting average, and he's had a lot of moments. I get that. Get him out of that damn 5 spot. I don't, again, it's a weird situation because, yes, we've always said put your best hitter 2, and Vientos has been there. So, and like, you should keep him there. He's red hot. But at this point, the fact that Jose Iglesias is protecting Pete Alonso, and you've seen Pete Alonso taking, for the majority, seeing the ball better and taking better ABs, the fact that he's the protection for Pete, and these the first 2 ABs were just uncompetitive ABs. He was just swinging out, looking like just a little leaguer up there, just getting like, huda, 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 and goodbye. Like, it was a bad game. Yes, he made a couple of great defensive plays, which is what he's always going to do. He's going to make late defensive plays. There needs to be some, and also it sucks, not playing Jesse Winker against a lefty, I understand. But there needs to be a little bit of shakeup. If it's maybe, I know putting him in the 2-hole and dropping Vientos is probably the worst thing you can do. But at this point, he needs to get out from behind because Pete is seeing the ball so well right now that he's drawing those good ABs. I can't have that. Yes, I know he's had a lot of clutch moments. I understand. Junior nice hit. I understand that. But like at this point, how many times in this situation, bases loaded, yes, he's got the good wrist numbers. I don't want him in that situation. So and today was a horrific day at the plate, a couple of good defensive plays. But right now, he's got to be the dud for the night, offensively.
Yeah, for this, I mean, it's so weird regarding Alonso and his protection. It seems like he hits better when there's worse power protection behind him.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much been the situation for him his entire Mets career. I will never understand it. I will never understand half of the stuff that Pete Alonso says. But, regarding all that goes with Pete, if they want to put the biggest noodle behind him again, like we said, Jeff McNeil might be coming back, so he might have to bat 5th again. But regarding this situation for duds, let's just say that. Frank, who do you want to go to?
Yeah, I'll go with the guy that's batting right after Iglesias, JD Martinez. I mean, oh my gosh, this guy also chasing like crazy. The curveballs in the dirt, can never check a swing. And the lack of speed. He hits a ball on the ground, and the second baseman has to jump up to catch the ball. So the second baseman jumps up, catches it, comes back down to throw it for the double play, and has plenty of time to get him. When this guy hits the ball on the ground, it's an automatic double play.
Even with bigger bases, he's so slow.
Even with bigger bases. And then, and the one hit he got was up the middle on the ground. So, like I said, when Martinez gets a hit and it's on the ground, I feel like it shouldn't even count because to me, that's not a good at-bat because most of the time a ground ball for him is 2 outs. And then you have to play with the force at home plate. And again, he's out by like 3 country miles. So it's like we talked about. Winker, he had some big moments for you yesterday. There's just more opportunities there. Like I would have pinch hit Martinez for Winker. I would have pinch hit Taylor for Winker. Like I feel like there were plenty of opportunities with men on base. Like we said, there were so many times you had guys on base you could have gone to him. And then there was even a moment where actually when Martinez got forced on home plate, Acuna's on the bench, Bader's on the bench. You could go to a pinch runner. Like there's workarounds around this. And like Andrew said, like let's say the Mets did do something because you make a good point, Andrew. Like Danny Young hasn't even warmed up in the postseason. Like he hasn't even warmed up, so they haven't even considered bringing him into a ball game yet. So why is he here? It's like, but if you have McNeil, you're much more willing to be like, okay, I could use Acuna just as a pinch runner in this situation, or someone else as just a pitcher in this situation, because I still have another bench guy who's versatile. So I feel like there are those opportunities. Like we say, the margin is so tight that one run here, that one run there, it goes a long way. So I feel like we've talked about, there are those opportunities where if you have guys struggling and you have a nice bat on the bench, go to it.
Yeah, I mean, regarding that situation when Martinez started it off with a hit, like I'm pretty sure he started off that 6th inning, I think, with a leadoff hit.
He's
And
like a
I
force
was
out home
expecting
plate.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the force out on home plate, and in best case scenario, it clears him off the bases as to where. Marte would be the guy that would tag up if it was a fly ball. Did not the fly ball ended up leaving off of Lindor's bat, so it didn't matter. But I feel like when it comes to Martinez, it made sense to pinch run, but at the end of the day, I mean, when it came to what was it, Hoffman? I mean, he was pretty much just giving away the bases when it came to Martinez. I'm pretty sure there was a like, was it 2 wild pitches? He could not find the strike zone whatsoever. So, it ended up being a moot point anyway. But in those situations when you're down by a run and you haven't gotten anything going, you prefer the fast runner, and I feel like Acuna would have been that. You also had pretty much all right-handers except Strom, I'm pretty sure, in that bullpen. So you probably could have used Winker. I know that you probably lose the DH spot, right? You probably lose it in that situation. That's probably why they kept him on the base paths. But we'll see. I mean, even pinch running Winker would be even be better than Martinez running on the base passes, holding the tying run. Like in that situation, I understand it didn't matter anyway. But you're talking about there's these little late substitutions. I know that Frank has had some criticism about like the late defensive replacements, a lot of that and stuff like that. I feel like in those situations, it probably is the best way to put like Acuna in there, or somebody else that can run that's not JD Martinez, who is like, why even run if you're him, if you hit a ground ball? Like, why even waste any energy regarding that? I mean, it's unbelievable. But anything else you guys want to add, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, and again, it did matter at the end. So I got to preface it did matter. But again, it was the same situation in that 8th inning. Runners at the corners. Here comes JD Martinez, Tyrone Taylor. Where's Jesse Winker? Like, at this point, yes, it didn't matter. We know it. It didn't matter. But guess what? Maybe if Jesse Winker hits a 3-run homer there, you don't see Edwin Diaz, and that 9th inning is a hell of a lot less stressful. But again, it doesn't matter. We won. And I guess it's the 8th inning. You're not going to take Taylor out for defense. It's different. But you still had Bader. I understand that. You don't want to put Winker out with the bad back in defense. Okay. But still, you had that opportunity again. Not stepping on their throat as Yuli fucking Gurriel pops out. You had the opportunity there to put the final nail in, but you know what? It didn't matter. All buttercups and unicorns. We're moving on to the NLCS. Why micromanage it anymore?
I don't know what a buttergop is, but yeah, sure. But when it comes to that certain situation, another guy that I do want to point out, especially in that 6th inning rally, I'm going to put Francisco Alvarez in the dud category here. Because let's just say the last thing that they needed was something in the infield in that situation. Because we all know running on contact, JD Martinez creating that situation is so slow as dirt that something needs to pass the infield in order for him to score. That was the last thing that they needed from Alvarez. He also had an ugly AB against Suarez, I believe, early on. And then to be honest, to sprinkle this on, he's just a bust, Like, I think that, his career is finished,
He's
I
just
think
another
that
Mike Zunino. It's okay.
He really is just kind of. I mean, I think that him and Beatty, I think that both of them, they're going to look good in a Syracuse uniform next year, and I think
Seattle.
that when it comes down to like other guys in this organization who I think that can really come through for you, like Joe Hudson and Logan Porter. I think that
what are these names?
You know,
My God.
you put yourself in a better position.
Hayden Senger too, right?
Don't forget Hayden Senger.
Hayden Senger, I think, was on our roster at one point.
Taxi squad.
Did he ever take an AB?
Hell no.
Did he ever take an AB? I know Joe Hudson caught an inning for us. That was good.
Logan Porter. Jesus.
But we did sign Logan Porter to a major league contract, believe it or not. More dumpster Dave diving, you know? Exactly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
No, he honestly, but one thing, remember all of the wild pitches and the pass balls. Oh, he can't block anything. Oh, you got to start to
Yeah, he can't.
I didn't see any. And Garrett is spiking it. I didn't see any.
Yeah, because they're throwing more strikes.
Garrett is spiking the ball to him, and he's blocking everything. And he's the one calming the pitchers down. He's the one doing the mound visits.
Spike everything.
The pitching coach is asking Alvarez, "What should we do?" He is also coaching the 22-year-old. He's still providing value. These other guys, like Martinez, and DH. No. When Martinez does a hit, like he's doing
correct,
nothing.
But the way that you go to bat for him, it's hysterical, and we're going to continue to egg you on this way. It's just.
Is it really 5-0 Dodgers?
Yeah.
Holy smokes! Will Smith homer. Let's go.
All right. Well, tire out those two teams. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and the Padres. So I talked about Dylan Cease came out of the game. Brian Hoyig is in. It's both bullpens are killing each other. Like, this is perfect. I mean, this is best case scenario here.
Again, like I said,
we're going to celebrate at Citi Field again.
Make sure to vote on it. We'll show the final results.
What are these rotations they have? Because with Musgrove out, you're looking at Cease, Darvish, and then King, and now bullpen that's crushed. And then Dodgers, it's like Yamamoto, Bueller, bullpen, and who else is the healthy arm they got out there? And Jack, yeah. So it's not looking too great. And listen, and now that Senga is back, that I talked about way back when, but that 1-2-3 of Senga, Sevy, Manaya, it's a good 1-2-3 in a playoff rotation. You know what I mean? It really David keeps Peterson. You in a lot of these games. And then you got Pearson in the bullpen. Now Quintana's pitching well. They're pitching. Like we said, the pitching is really keeping them in these ball games.
I mean, yeah, Senga, yes, of course. Great year last year. When it comes to Sevy, Andrew, didn't he have a 6.5 ERA last year? We can't trust that guy.
Can't trust this guy. He hasn't been amazing in the postseason. It's been kind of mid. It's kind of mid. Giving up bombs.
Pretty much.
Giving up bombs.
I don't know. Other different notes that I want to get into just for a second. Reed Garrett, it almost was a disaster to happen. Let's just say that. But I knew that this was somewhat going our way when that pickoff attempt just hit Bryce Harper in the ass. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's just meant to be. Nothing's going to collapse. We're fine. Because if that went into center field, I feel like that would have been the momentum shift. Let's just say that. And we've seen many defensive miscues in that way. But again, Bryce Harper's ass saved us from having to go to Philly. Let's just say that.
Are you saying we got lucky versus the Phillies? It hit one time, it hit the base. This time, it hit an ass. Are we a luck merchant against Philadelphia?
Well, I mean, we don't have any Mark Canha to bail us out against the Phillies, so
no, we just have Francisco Lindor. It's all good.
Yeah, we have Francisco Lindor, who, listen, I don't know. Again, batted .220 at that one point, so fuck him. Also, sixth inning. I think this is also another sixth inning conversation because I think Reed Garrett came in the sixth, correct?
Yeah.
Another sixth inning conversation. We had, 2 on or something? I don't know who hit the foul ball. But then the umpire does this theatrical foul call.
Oh no!
It was like I'm just sitting there. Okay, listen, I've never been one to blame umpires. I've never been one to trash them completely for the reason why my team loses. I usually hold everyone accountable in that reason. But when it comes to that umpire, if they didn't end up scoring, I was like, you know what? Fuck that guy. I don't know who the hell that is at third base, but that pissed me off to see that theatrically. I mean, he's like,
I think Bohm got robbed on the.
That's a fake. That was a fair. That was a fair ball. That was a fair ball.
Yeah, Torres. I mean, those glasses are not thick enough because I thought that was fair.
Yeah, I don't know who was that umpire at third base. John.
Yeah, I know Torres was at first.
Payne. Carlos Torres was at first base.
Yeah, he put a lot of emphasis on it.
He's like, foul. That's a foul ball.
I got a little pissed. I'm not gonna lie, because it was such a stressful part of the game, because you knew at that point 2 times they stranded the bases loaded, and we're just sitting there like, we're waiting for this. We're stressing. We're sweating. We're down by a run. And then this umpire just comes out of nowhere. He's like, I'm going to steal the show and just give you a nice little gun show or some shit. Like, what the hell? Why? Like, absolutely why? What was the reason for that? So unnecessary. But I'm sure that third base umpire is a nice guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. Anyways, we're talking about the one
the Taylor
base
one
that the Mets
Taylor.
hit.
Yeah,
Bohm was the one. Yeah, Bohm was the one. The next inning, or like that was against Peterson, right? In the eighth or whatever, 8th or 7th, and it was almost fair or whatever. And they had like Diaz warming up or something. That was pretty close. But again, the ball just keeps rolling our way. I don't know what to say. We have so much magic. Maybe we do win the World Series, and we'll have to pay some kind of sacrifice. But in the meantime, we're just having a fun time right now. I don't know what to say. But other certain comments and questions and all these types of things, other videos. Of course, we have the celebration for everybody on the field. We've got tons of pictures, all of this stuff. We have, Pete Alonso pouring alcohol into Harrison Bader's eyes. The Gator boys basically just getting drunk off of their asses. But they have like 3 days off, so they'll be able to rest it off. We have a shower for our MVP, Francisco Lindor. There's some other stuff here, hyping up the crowd and everything. We've got wives and girlfriends on the field of the players. There's tons of videos that you can all check out on the SNY page for the Mets. It looks like there's going to be videos forever, of course, of the Mets celebrating. And, hopefully it does replace that. What was it in 2021 when we like celebrated in spring training like it was the World Series? Hopefully these videos replace that now. We don't have to talk about that.
Carson, how about your boy Diaz? His hardest pitch all year was that last pitch to Schwarber. I mean, he came at like 101.1.
But he doesn't throw 100 anymore. He doesn't do that anymore.
He don't do that no more, no.
He'll never do that anymore.
No.
I thought his career's over. Wait, what happened? I'm confused. I just woke up. What happened? Okay, anyways. Speaking of full-on results of what is happening in California right now, I asked you guys in our chat, who would you rather play in the National League Championship Series? Because these are both good teams, the Padres and the Dodgers. 33% of you are saying the Dodgers, 35% of you are saying the Padres, and 31% of you are saying you don't care. So we have it tight, pretty much like 50-50-50 right now. 30-33, 30-33. Like, we have it tight right now. So nobody cares. Ken's saying Dodgers. I personally, again, I feel like it's going to be a tough opponent no matter what. So, I think that, I'm hoping.
Well, no Freddie Freeman tonight.
Yeah, what's going on? I saw
that.
Pat,
he's had I think an ankle or
injury.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, if we could get the Dodgers no Freeman, yes, please. I mean, because that's the guy that I just cannot.
That's inner demons right there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Speaking of inner demons, let's just say, when Cody Clemens got up,
yeah,
I was like, okay, if he ties this game, if Roger Clemens' son ties this game, I'm punching a hole in the wall. Because for those of you who don't know, one of the main rules of being a Mets fan is fuck Roger Clemens and fuck Roger Clemens forever. Okay? If that happened, that would have been trauma added on to even more trauma. Let's just say that. I feel like there are some things that do go in the Mets' favor when it comes to Padres or Dodgers. Again, Freddie Freeman out of the lineup, that is a big loss. This one as well is another factor for the Padres. For the Padres, let's not forget Joe Musgrove not only shutting us down in Game 3 2 years ago, he also shut us down in the regular season this year. Yeah. We couldn't hit him worth a lick. So, again, some of the matchups do favor, and there is going to be things that we were going to be able to take advantage of in that regard. But, again, it's going to be a really tough series against either one of these teams. San Diego and LA. San Diego may be a 5 seed, but they have the caliber of being, a 2 seed or, even a 1 seed if the Dodgers didn't exist. So, they are very, very competitive with the Dodgers, and they're probably going to be going to a Game 5 if this score holds in San Diego, where they would play them in LA. Here's what I'm hoping, okay? I don't really care who we play because, again, like I said, it's going to be a tough scenario, but I want this to go to 5 games, and I need Game 5 to go to 16 innings. Tire out everyone, make them weak, bring them down, wear them down. That's how desperate I am for the Mets to get to the World Series. I know I've talked about it. Everything's icing on the cake. Andrew said everything is gravy. Because he drinks that as his actual liquid when he's not mixing in Mountain Dew with his liquor. But when it comes to this postseason ride, you get deep into it. Let's say the Mets are they're 1 win away from the World Series. Then you're like, okay, I want this now. I want it. I want this now. I feel like we're going to get to that point where you're like, okay, let's finish this thing. We have to finish this thing. It's too magical to not finish. I feel like we'll get there if we win a few games in this National League Championship Series. But today is about celebrating. We popped the champagne on the Citi Field soil for the first time ever. It has just been, again, such a ride so far. They have played 7 postseason games. We have had comebacks. We have had incredible pitching performances. We've had offensive explosions. We have had late game heroics. We've had our MVP come through big with a huge hit tonight. We have had our young 24-year-old third baseman have an incredible postseason. We even had our tubby first baseman finally come through. But guess what? The ride isn't over. We're still going. We're continuing it into the National League Championship Series. The Mets are the first team to punch their ticket in, and they get to relax. They get to relax for about 2 to 3 days, and then they travel to California to play which team? We don't know yet. But other than that, we're going to wrap these things up here. Final comments. Andrew, I'll go to you. Last stupid things that you want to say, and then we'll shut you up for good.
I could really cut a promo here on Philadelphia, but I'm gonna be the bigger man because fuck Philadelphia. Party like a rock star. Now, one last thing. On Friday night, are we having a concert at Citi Field? Bringing Pitbull and the boys. OMG remix is dropping, and it will be with playoff baseball in the National League Championships. Bring Pitbull, Mr. 305, Mr. OMG, Mr. This team doesn't fucking lose. And we're going to get some jewelry. It's going to look very nice. We're going to need some big rings, because we got a really nice team.
Yeah, what's your ring size, folks? What's your ring size? Let us know. In the comments, live chat right now, let us know what your ring size is, and we'll order it for, ever. And for those of you looking on Metsmerize Online, they just posted how it started, how it's going. You have on SNY... Kevin Burkhardt interviewing a young Brandon Nimmo, who I think when he just got drafted in 2010, right? And then you're showing them on Fox, Kevin Burkhardt interviewing Brandon Nimmo in the Mets clubhouse right now, celebrating their NLCS appearance. I mean, that is incredible, to be honest. When you think about it, like we forgot. I think we kind of forgot how long. We kind of forget all the time how long Brandon Nimmo has been in this organization. I mean, is he currently the longest tenured Met? I think he is.
Yeah, it's not even close.
And he's been around for a long time. He's been around since the Mania days.
And Brandon Nimmo in the locker room, he actually had a really good response to that. He goes, I get drafted, and while I'm in the minor leagues, we go to the World Series. I'm like, oh, we're gonna come back. This is gonna be like an every time thing. And he's like, and that wasn't the case. So Nimmo's been through some tough moments with his Mets organization on the climb up, trying to get back to having really good playoff baseball. And on the Phillies side, they showed the graphic, but you know what? They lose the World Series in 2022. Then they lose the championship series in 23. Now they lose the division series in 2024. It's like all of a sudden they're heading backwards a little bit. So
getting old, Philly.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. And like we said, no Braves. They're gone. They're injured and everything. This is your best chance. Philly's gone. One more to go, and then we're at the big dance. And we're getting really close.
There's no NL East team left. They're all gone except the Mets. That's it. They have survived everyone. Now they have to get through the National League. They have to go out west and get through them. And then maybe also face their inner demons of AL Central teams that seem to always play them tough. But anyways, I think at the end of the day, listen, still got work to do. We still are here for the ride, but let's just say one thing. What a run it has been. Let's just say that. What a run. And again, like we've said, exceeding the expectations the way that they have. They continue to get deeper and deeper into this push, with the magic continuing the way that it is, maybe the pieces just fall into place, even more. We're 8 games away from the hardware. It's not like we're, it's not like we're very, very far away. And when you talk about when we were very far away, back on June 1st, when this all changed, I mean, where we are now, the fight of this team, I mean, it is endless. You talk about the heart of this team, endless. I mean, they really have fought for so long. Their postseason started months and months before any of these other teams. They were fighting for their lives for a long time. And for them to all the way continue to fight like they have, if you want to call them an underdog, you could, but I wouldn't call a $300 million payroll an underdog, but that's just me. But most of that payroll is on other teams. But in regards to that, again, we'll see we'll see what is in there for the future, and not to mention long term. Like Andrew said at the beginning, this is the first year of David Stearns. Hopefully they can continue to elevate the way that they have. I mean, it's just been an incredible roller coaster of a year, and I'm not saying that it's over because we still got games to play. But again, this run has been absolutely incredible. Now, for those of you in here, for those of you watching live, for those of you watching on playback, hit the subscribe button if you had not already on the Mets Mets Weekly YouTube channel. On listening platforms, these go out at 9 a.m. the following day of recording. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, all of that great stuff. And of course, make sure to tune in to us on YouTube and on X for pre-game coverage of Game 1 of Mets versus Dodgers/Padres. We don't know yet. But again, it is going to be quite a battle, let's just say. And it will continue to be. And hopefully, the Mets can go even deeper into the postseason. The Mets, Francisco Lindor lifts us to the promised land and brings us to the National League Championship Series. The Mets win this series over the Philadelphia Phillies 3-1, winning Game 4 4-1 on their home field for the first time ever, popping the champagne bottles. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time for pregame coverage of the National League Championship Series. Let's go, Mets. Peace out, guys.